Welcome back to this. I'm Kyle.
I'm Allison.
And we got Kate and Thomas back again.
Hey.
And today we're talking about Phasmophobia.
Yes.
The video that accidentally went super big and you got a lot of views. And then we didn't capitalize on that at all.
No, we did not. Well, that's not true. You made another video after.
That's true.
And in the process of making it, he was, his soul was dying. And he goes, this is going to work. It's going to work. And it was just a talking headshot between me and him. But that's the second video.
Yeah.
After
Didn't
the first
you also
one.
make a TikTok?
Yeah.
We turned, it was the first time we turned one of our videos into a TikTok.
That's
We did it
Oh, yeah, I
on
remember
Halloween.
that counts.
It was a big deal.
That's selling out
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
We should do it more.
Yes.
Think of the opportunity.
Yeah, no, our stuff actually does okay on TikTok, and that was the first indication because we put that up on Halloween, and it felt very reminiscent of the early Door Monster video of like same time of year, and then also just accidentally this video blowing up.
Yeah.
But it was a weird idea to start with because we were like, we love this game, we need to make a video about it. And Halloween's coming up, so we should make it for Halloween. But we were trying really hard to figure out like a fun little sketch. And then, I don't know, for some reason, just the only joke we kept coming back to is how stupid everybody looked in VR, because that's what we all laughed at when we were playing was me.
Actually, we didn't just come to that conclusion. I argued very hard that we should do the same video everyone else went on to make before they made it, which was the idea that you go through all the ghosts basically and you just like just play on the ghost types, right? So there's all the different types of ghosts, and so the very easy immediate joke that people go to first is just like play on the ghost types. Just make a video about
Just
each
like a
ghost
list,
type.
kind
Yeah,
of.
basically.
Yeah. Ghost
like-
types or
like-
player types? Was that which idea?
Oh,
was
I think it
yours?
was player
like
types,
the kinds
actually.
of people that play Phasmophobia.
The van bitch and
yeah.
the wannabe
Okay.
ghost hunters
That
host
makes a lot more sense.
type
I was
thing.
wondering where the punchline
Yeah, no,
was
that's definitely what it was. And I remember pitching that, and Kyle was like, no, it's too obvious.
Right.
So we didn't do it.
Right.
So then we spent the next 2 years watching everyone else do it.
That's true.
And get extremely famous and lots of views off of that idea.
During my let's not do the obvious easy thing phase,
that was the
'cause somebody
first
else would
idea.
do it.
And then Kyle said no. And then we came to our second idea, which ultimately
Which
was
still
probably
paid off.
the best thing to have done, because we're the only ones who did that, and we did
That's
it.
true.
It's still
amazingly.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah, you can show it to anybody and they will laugh. I showed
Exactly.
it to my entire extended family and
Yeah.
they all laughed. Every
that's why
single
it
joke
works.
landed immediately.
Yeah.
Because we realized at one point you don't even have to speak English to get that one. It's probably our only video like that, where the comedy is entirely visual.
Do you remember
Yeah.
how we noticed that?
Because people were sharing it on Twitter in different languages.
In different
They were-
languages.
yeah.
And we were like, it was the first time that anything like that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Usually because our videos are so word focused.
Yeah, exactly.
And that one-
They're very dialogue heavy most of the time. And that
Yeah.
one was just I don't know if me and Matt came to that idea or if it was just me, but we were just trying to come up with like a traditional Door Monster sketch that was kind of about that topic, but it felt weird having like a straight man just being like, "Hey, you look funny." Like I don't know, there just wasn't like a fun way to do it.
Yeah.
And so we were like, what if the video is just dramatically played completely straight and the only joke is the visuals? Like it's just a montage of people doing the things you do in Phasmophobia with no baked in humor whatsoever, except for the fact that I'm going to CGI Thomas's spine split in half while he's saying like a normal Ghost Hunter line.
I'm sorry, but
in other
it
words-
does that in the game. The model
Right.
literally bends backward. How can you not
This
do
was
that?
my number one complaint.
You picked an obscure joke, and then we did it the hardest way possible, is essentially
Yes.
what that video
But
is.
it paid off this time.
Yeah.
No, the whole time we were like, this isn't going to work. Like, this isn't going to sell.
Well, so Phasmophobia had been trending for a while, and we had watched a bunch of people make videos specifically on their own experiences, but it going really well.
Yeah.
Like there was the animator who really popped off. She just animated, I think she just recorded her session.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
animated
yeah.
I know
to
exactly
it.
who you're talking
And,
about.
and she totally blew up, and it was
Hysterical.
awesome. It was so funny.
Yeah.
And every time we played Phasmophobia, Kyle would VR it, and occasionally
Right.
Matt.
Yeah.
And
The rest
there were
of us
multiple
playing.
times where I would jump out of my skin because I turn around to see Kyle, who looks like a fucking creep bent backwards and in horrible
Like an
positions.
exorcist pose. Just
Well, and you
in the
also
corner.
crawl like a crab in VR. Like you don't stand properly, both of them. So they
Right.
just like squat and crawl real fast at you.
Yeah.
So there were multiple times where you spooked me more than anything else.
Well, and at first the models weren't quite right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
they're-
played
Oh, yeah.
early enough that nothing was quite right yet.
Yeah.
And it was just
It was also-
beautiful.
it was meant to happen. We were like, who's going to be in this? And we're like,
Oh yeah.
the most normal looking guy we know,
one of the
Thomas.
models looked like
literally,
Like
Right,
literally
yeah.
exactly like
like
you.
one of the models.
And then it was just like we owned the clothes already too. Like I had
Yeah.
the jacket and
Yeah, that's
stuff.
true.
Actually, you are wearing my exercise shirt
Right,
and
yeah.
yours with the V-neck.
I think we
because-
pulled off looking like the characters pretty
Because
well.
when was the
You
last
guys
time a
agree.
man just wore a V-neck short sleeve tight shirt?
2002, I think, in an emo band, probably.
It's not happening anymore.
I feel like someone in the inappropriate age is doing that right now while we're talking.
It felt
about
like you know who did
Right now.
you know who did probably Zach Baggins, like Ghost Hunters.
Oh,
I
yeah,
bet, dressed
that's
like
probably what it
that.
it.
So it
Yes.
felt very accurate, I think.
It was a trip filming it too. Well, we filmed it in this house, which
Yeah.
works
Yeah.
because mom never decorates anything. So just creepy blank walls with weird lighting.
It was also right
Yeah.
after we moved in, so literally the structural foundation of this house has changed since we filmed that video. So
Yeah.
the locations don't exist in the same way anymore.
Wait, was the wall there?
yeah,
Yeah,
we filmed in the
the-
kitchen when,
the
the,
kitchen
when we
was
hadn't
there.
taken the wall down in the kitchen.
That's right.
I think part of the fact that we just made it like such a simple joke made it so where most of the creative effort happened on set, which is not very common for us. It's usually very like planned out to begin with, but this time it was like we got to do all the what. You seem like you want to say something.
It was so much work.
was
Do
a
you
lot of work,
remember
yes.
how much work it was?
I do.
Every single stunt was so much work.
No, I know that's what I'm saying. We got to spend I guess to me, I'm saying
Work
we got
he likes
to.
doing.
Yeah.
We got to spend like an hour on every shot, which I don't get to do very often.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
I
it's
just-
all in the dialogue and it's like get through the lines as fast as possible. But yeah,
Yeah.
on this one it was like, oh no, we really want to sell the visual of like the object flying out of your hand and throwing everything off the table.
Do you remember how hard
It was a
that
lot.
That's the only part of this I want to talk about is all of the individual stunts and what they took to make happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I think that's people,
Well, I
people want to
remember-
hear that part.
I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember Kyle hanging from the bar, like full body weight
Oh,
hanging.
that's
so that
right,
you can
for the
get your
legs.
feet.
Yeah.
For the crazy
I don't know if we
Actually,
ended up using that.
It's the
but
first CGI that I used in the new like Blender era of our channel.
That
because
was your
we-
first video
Yeah,
that you
we tried to get a green screen element of me of like doing
That's
a walking
right.
motion to just
Yeah.
stick under me to do like
Yes.
the walking in place animation.
awkward.
But it was way too dark and I couldn't pull a good key from it when I tried to like green screen it. It just didn't work. But yeah, the way I did it was I was just hanging from the exercise bar and just like pedaling in midair.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But so what I ended up doing, that was the first time I photo scanned us. You and me, I have like
That's
low res
right.
photo scans
Yeah,
of each of us.
yeah.
I was like, just in case any of these don't work, I want to back up 3D models so I can like try to do something in like digitally.
Yeah.
And the only time I used it was for the legs. I actually just applied a pre-made walk cycle and then just chopped off just the legs and rendered that part out. So the
Nice.
legs in that shot are CGI, but everything else is not.
So that was the only time you used the body scan
Yeah.
part for okay.
Yeah, I didn't actually end up
Cool.
using yours at all.
Did you not use the so I'm confused. Did you hang and use your legs?
I didn't
doing
get to use it. We
Okay,
filmed it, but
instead
it didn't
you
work.
just did
Yeah.
the 3D model.
we still did all the work for it and
Right.
just didn't end up using it.
That happens.
Scuttling
That's
across
part of the creative process.
That was a weird. That's probably my least favorite shot because I rushed it and I don't think like if you look frame by frame it doesn't look good.
What are you talking about?
The one where I'm crouch walking, the way we did
Oh,
it, I
yeah.
think I was on the rolling
Yes,
stool from
yeah.
my office,
Yep,
right?
you
And
did.
I'm like
Oh.
sitting on the stool, and, like pulling myself across the ground with my legs. And I was like, I could just erase the stool or whatever. And it did not work that easily. And I ended up having to like rotoscope me frame by frame, and it's really janky.
Yeah.
But it just happens really quick, and most people saw it on a
Yeah.
phone. So
Yeah.
it was
looked
like
fine.
it was the end of the night.
Yeah, it looked fine. I don't know what you're talking about.
But yeah, the way we actually got that, I think, was like, was I even pulling myself, or you were like pushing me? Somebody was just like pushing me on
like,
the.
yeah.
I can't
something
remember.
like that.
We had to go through a bunch of different trial and errors for that 'cause
Yeah.
you couldn't just like drag your feet.
Right.
I feel like Thomas was just pushing you. Actually, I no, I'm pretty sure that was happening because I remember cracking the fuck up behind camera.
We probably
with
had
Thomas
some
just like
behind the scenes.
scrolling, just like speed fast, like
right. And I was just walking my way, like, with my legs.
Yep, that is what we
well,
did.
and also acting.
Right.
So it's like Thomas is pushing you. You're like pedaling your legs on a little.
But we were on like a hardwood floor, so it would like catch. Like it was a terrible setup.
It was bad.
A lot of the shots got pushed pretty far in like post because they were not really working. The shot of the silhouette shot of me
that was rough.
in the hallway. It's like me with a light shining behind me at the
that's
very
a great
end. It's also the
shot,
thumbnail.
though. Yeah, it is.
But that was like the contrast was cranked so far on that in post because it didn't actually look that good at all.
I remember trying so hard. I was like, "You got to twist like more."
Right.
And he's like, "I literally can't."
Oh, right.
And I'm like,
to
"You're
like
not
be in a
like."
weird position.
Yeah, I was like, "It's not quite scary enough," but it ultimately ended up working out. That is actually your body, right? You didn't.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That part didn't change, but I had to add like fake light rays and stuff in to like punch it up to be able to
looks
see
good.
it.
It does. It does look good.
It's amazing how much work went into that 45
The handprint
seconds.
on the window was fake. Also, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah.
I digitally inserted that, and you have both of your arms are pointing the same direction.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one. We like green screened your arm separately.
that.
I remember sticking out from behind you.
Yes. That's. Oh, is that?
Yeah,
what you
he's
did?
like turned around and his arms are
Yeah.
twisted. He's like, "There's handprints on the window." Hit the window. It's so good.
I remember that. I also remember the tripod shot where it just flung off. That was so funny.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
It's the only one like that. We had to use that take because it was so fun.
some of them weren't digital at all. It was just us doing the movements, and even those took a few takes, but it was worth doing because like the walking into the room. I remember one thing that took forever was trying to slap the light on.
Yeah, did we manually do that?
Yeah, I did. I was trying to walk into the room, but I had to do like this really quick like turn and fling my hand up exactly onto the light switch to like kick the lights on.
What about the flickering? Did we do that manually? I remember doing it, but I'm not sure we ended up using it.
I think that was
At the very end, I think we did, because it was just a close up. We just had a light off screen.
And it was just me going flip.
Yeah, it was just you flicking the light on and off. Routine light switch check.
Yes.
Nice.
It was a good old time.
It was fun. But yeah, I think the best practical shot had to be you putting the object on the table and just knocking everything over.
Oh, I completely forgot about that somehow.
Launching out of your hand.
You remember how we did that? Because we used a string on the lamp, and we did it so many times.
Yeah,
it's a hardy lamp.
It was a lot. It was like that really cheap.
It wasn't just the lamp. There were
plastic
multiple
Amazon.
things that fly off.
Yeah,
The lamp flies off and a couple other things.
It goes
I
like
knew from the beginning the lamp was important because it's casting light and it really sells everything flying because the light starts going crazy when the lamp flies away.
Did like you pull the lamp and you pull a different like the cup string or something?
There was multiple things. And yes, everyone had their own string. We had to
very
nail
clever.
it as soon as you throw it down. We all had to like do
And
it
you
at
didn't
the
even
same
really
time.
throw it, right? You just sort of like open your hands.
Yeah, and it like
Well,
launches out of his hand, kind of.
The instruction was to launch it without making it look like I was doing that.
Don't move any
also-
muscle
So
in
it
your
was
body.
like
It also
the
couldn't
Bruce
touch
Lee
anything.
one-inch punch, right? Like
Was it supposed to touch anything? Wasn't that part of it too? He couldn't.
It was ideally it was just supposed to land and then everything flies away, and that is what ends up happening. But I'm pretty sure like it's
hard.
There's a lot of layered footage. It's you let go, and then I think we also did a toss, and then I edited that in, so when it exits your hand, it's a
that
different
makes
take.
sense.
That's why it looks so forceful.
And then
Yeah.
me and Allison are off screen with a fishing line just pulling two
I remember
things.
that. We just tape and fishing line because we
Right.
didn't.
And I
get
remember
to do this
thinking,
earlier.
and later I'll paint this out. And then I got to it, and the light is changing every frame, and I was like, I'm not gonna paint it out.
Oh.
I'm just gonna.
Can you see the string?
You can, if you look for it, you can find it. It's in there because I didn't remove it, but it happens. The light, the light change really hides so much of it. Right.
Yeah.
It sells the effect more than anything.
Yeah.
Well, literally, like
Well, and-
millions of people didn't notice. So
Yeah. No, it was just enough to to make everybody laugh, which was including the people that made the game, which was the cool part. Is they
That's
shared it on
right.
Twitter.
that's right. That was super
Yeah.
fun.
And it was fun. It was a real like wake up call for me for filmmaking. We're just like, oh yeah, doing all this fun stuff on set, not just repeating the same pattern over and over
I
again.
remember when stuff was fun.
Wasn't something we did was pretty dangerous, like borderline could fall and get hurt. I don't know if it was in the kitchen where we had the workout equipment so that I could bend my back while also being up
I was gonna
high.
say, I think it was you balancing on the weightlifting bench.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember? Or didn't you do something similar also in the living room or something?
I definitely wanted you to be floating.
Yeah.
So I needed you
floating
to stand on
and
something.
broken backed.
And we had the weight bench, and then also had you go ahead and bend backward as far
Oh
as
my
you
God.
could, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
So
Yeah.
that I could,
Right.
like,
That sounds very dangerous.
just enhance it. But yeah, it was on this kind of like rickety workout.
I do remember there
workout
being
room.
a few things in the workout room that I was like, I think you also had to hang too.
Yeah, whatever it was
We
like
thought the leg thing would work.
There was definitely a lot more footage that we got.
I think as like backup footage, I did
okay.
the scuttly leg too, but I don't know that was.
Okay.
No, but I think
Impressive. I couldn't. I literally could not do that.
Please don't do
cannot
this
hang
in
by
your
my
home.
arms.
Please don't do any of these things.
try this.
The takeaway tangent here is that all of the best movies are dangerous, though. Like,
Yes.
it's all
What
of
are
the
you
best
saying?
moments. I'm thinking back to all of like the best things that we've done. All of, like the really fun things are the things that like you need like a little bit of a chance of failure, and ideally
Yeah.
it's not personal harm, but it just. It makes the best stories.
Yeah, there's a
and
cost.
usually the best shots because that's what you end up seeing it afterwards, and you're like, well, I just mentioned yesterday I just rewatched A Knight's Tale or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there's this one shot. I don't know what happened in real life.
Oh, you've been talking about this a long time.
But somebody gets knocked off the horse, and the horse falls on him, and we see it happen, and then it cuts away, and we just never learned what happened to that man on set that day.
Yeah.
And that
Probably
just doesn't
survived.
happen anymore. Like we just watched an entire jousting scene in Game of Thrones, and I was mentally making note of the differences because in older movies they really let you just like take in what's there.
Right.
Mostly because I think they built everything. They're like, we built this whole set. You're
Look
gonna
at it.
see it. Yeah. Like they're wide shots. They're on actual horses. Like we don't want to hide all this money we're putting into it.
Yeah.
So we're going to let you watch these two guys race toward each other on horses and knock each other off of them with sticks. But I think in Game of Thrones, probably they like Matt Smith did not get knocked off a horse at any point, right?
Right.
Like it's all these like close up
someone
shots.
did.
Someone maybe. I'm actually not sure that they did. It's possible that on a couple of them they did. Like a couple of them looked pretty good, but I was just noticing.
Well, the way they do it is you see the hit, right?
Right.
You see the hit, and then it cuts, like a very fast cut to
Right.
a different shot of someone just hanging off the horse. So it's like,
Right.
it all happens so fast that
It's-
it feels
it's
like
more
you
of
watched
that.
it happen. But they definitely had like a stunt
They have
double.
closer up, kind of like shakier camera stuff, as opposed to older ones where it's just like, this wide shot and you saw the full hit and the fall and the
Yeah.
impact, and it was
All of
just, it's just different, I guess.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, like the it's probably better because then actors don't have horses fall on them. But it's kind of interesting to go back and watch
You should
when
Google
that
it.
happens.
You should
I really
Google it.
should.
It's
'Cause
really getting
They
you.
linger on it too. They don't
Somebody
just cut
knows.
away.
Somebody knows what happened
Probably
to
the
that man.
cameraman was just like recording it, and then it happened. He's like, oh shit.
From experience, it feels like one of those things where it probably happened. The actor was okay, and he was like, "You better use that."
Right. That's cool. Yeah.
Leave it in.
Because we've had those moments too when we, like,
Well, it reminds me of things like, was it Django Unchained? Leonardo DiCaprio, he
Broke. Yeah.
cuts
Oh, yeah.
himself, and he just
he like breaks a glass or
Yeah.
something.
yeah, something like that. He cuts his hand, and he's like holding it throughout the scene, and it's bleeding and stuff. But it's just
Yeah.
he just keeps going, and so they use that take because it's just more
Very
natural.
real, yeah.
You get like more real reactions in it, and it reminds me of that kind of stuff where it's just sometimes it's just accidents on set are better.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, your tripod thing too.
Yes.
The tripod flying off was a complete and total accident. I don't even know how you did that. It's not the piece that flies off. Like it's
Yeah, it's not
it's
supposed
not
to
the
detach.
detachable piece. There are detachable pieces on the top, but you just and it flew.
I am
It's
just
amazing.
that good.
Yeah. Just guaranteed. Like
Get a little closer to the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta chew on these microphones for the audio to come out right.
we're all suddenly shifting towards our microphone.
We it also kind of reminded me on like our only experience with like set safety was on Skyvaults when
Oh.
people started acting like they cared.
Oh, yeah.
And one of my favorite moments was we were like losing light, and we needed to have a prop like over on this other cliff. We were like on one cliff, and like the actors were on a different cliff because we were getting this shot from really far away, and they needed a prop, and the light's going down, and like some of the crew were talking about like, okay, we're gonna drive around there and then back down, and our assistant producer just hands it to Reed, my brother, and it's just like, just run, run this over there, and Reed just sprints along the edge of this cliff.
It is
all the way around.
It is a full cliff, like a full cliff
Yeah, like-
into water and sharp rocks.
Tall
And
grass,
not only-
can't see where you're
Jesus.
stepping.
Not only is it tall grass on one side, the other side just completely slopes. So it slopes and then cliffs.
I see.
And on the slope, it is slippery. It is covered in wet rock. And so Reed has to run across the wet rocks and the tall grass through like a in and then back out to hand them the things so that we can get it before sundown. And he does it. And I was pissed. I was so mad. I'm so worried about people getting
really
hurt
made me
on
appreciate
set.
Rita and our assistant director.
Yeah.
Our assistant director was fucking great. That was Christine. She was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, so was Reed. But
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Reed definitely is the one that risked himself.
he didn't even hesitate, bro. I'm nervous about people getting hurt on set. He's never given a shit.
I
Ever.
mean, I
No.
don't endanger people, but it's
You don't
just,
tell them to be endangered.
Well,
but
I
you
don't-
would offer endangering activities.
I don't ask anyone to do anything I don't do myself. I always made that a priority really
That's a
early
different
on.
thing.
Yeah.
That's a different statement.
That was also a seriously professional setting. Whereas
Yeah, where we'd get
you guys
seriously
are
professionally sued.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys are used to like just doing kind of stuff amongst yourselves and your
Yeah.
friends and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So it's like, yeah, go jump off the roof into the pool right now for this shot.
It'll look
I'm
better.
really mostly just amazed at how
You're
long
like,
it's
I'm
taken
absolutely going
me
to do that.
to like understand. Like, I should have known early on, like what I liked and what I prioritized, though, because like that to me that feels like filmmaking, right? It's like
Yeah.
we got we lose sun in 2 minutes, we can't come back. Prop needs to be over there. Sprint.
Yeah,
Run,
you got one
run,
shot. Do it.
Run like your life depends on it.
I think the thing that you're realizing finally 7 years later
Yeah.
is that what's actually really important is challenge.
Yeah.
You need to be challenged every time you are challenged and overcome it, you have positive feelings about the things that you've done. But anytime anything has just felt like canned or exceptionally easy, you don't look back on it and think very well of it.
Nothing is worse than being comfortable on set, for sure. That is the worst feeling.
Sounds like
for
a
me.
true fucking Hollywood filmmaker statement if I ever heard one.
Well, I don't because we tried doing the Hollywood thing, and they were like the crew really wanted me to like
Oh, yeah,
sit
they
in the
were
chair
awful.
and under the
The
tents,
umbrellas.
like a mile away from the action while it was being like reported in. And I tried it for like a couple of takes, and when those 2 takes took 30 minutes, I was
Nope.
like, I'm gonna go stand next to the camera.
Yeah, absolutely not.
The best parts of Skyvault were the parts where there was a little bit of risk.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
actually, I hope Allie never sees this because she was the only one that nearly suffered. But as soon as I found out there was a snake on set, it was the
was-
most exciting thing that's ever
was gonna
happened.
say
God.
You're talking about the rattlesnake, right?
Rattlesnake.
Great.
She saw it. It was like next to her boot or something. And so someone's like, "We got to get the snake man out." And I'm like, "Ooh, the snake man."
Is he on set?
Ooh.
yeah, we had a snake wrangler.
He was paid. He was paid to be there because we were in wild grass and jungle in Texas, and he caught the snake, and then we all got to stare at
See,
it in a little
that
bucket.
kind
It
of
was fucking
safety,
nonsense.
I'm actually down for. Having a snake wrangler to get rid of the snakes is fine.
Yeah.
I think you should have said read in there.
probably could have
Would
done
have
it.
been fine.
I think the biggest thing is like, yeah, Allie was like 2 feet away from a snake, dangerous. But then later it came down to like the actors couldn't walk too fast over rocks because you could break your ankle and just
Right.
like fall. And it just was like, just run a little.
I guess the reason it rubbed us the wrong way too is because we really were writing this weird space in between professionalism and what we usually do.
Yeah.
And nobody was really on the same page
Yeah.
during
Right.
that production.
Yeah.
Because some people were definitely treating it like, I think it was, we've mentioned before, but it was like a lot of money for most of the local Austin filmmakers that we had. And so they were treating it very, very overly professionally. Yeah. Like with like, don't step on the wet rocks. And it's like, I very much value Jim's life and all. But we're not Disney and we have 7 days.
Yeah.
Well, it's one thing when it's a cliff at night. And then it's another thing where it's like, it's hot. It was hot. There was like a whole thing because it was so hot that the actors had PAs hold umbrellas over them. You were there on set. You were there on set for the hot. So
Yeah.
there's normal people.
It's
And
this
then there's
weird-
actors. And so the normal people would just stand like this.
Right.
Umbrella out over the other person while they baked because the
I think that's
actors
what it
were the
is.
actors.
It's this weird mix
And
of...
I
wouldn't be able
also
to
need
do
to say that
that.
our actors were like, stop. They were not. They were
I
like,
would
"Could you
make-
go take care of
I'd
yourself."
make them stand
True.
under the umbrella with me. Just
Yes.
come stand next to
They
me.
did-
Like it's raining.
they
Just
did
stand
things
next
like
to me.
that.
They're very careful and protective of the actors and their well-being, and obviously I don't want anybody overheating at all. But then they're like, but then they kind of ignore the PAs, like they're also people standing there.
Yeah.
And so like they make this big show of
they're
like,
free.
no, we're very safety conscious, and it's like while your weird living umbrella holders are standing over there just
Yeah.
baking.
3rd degree sunburns.
I don't don't want to talk about Skyvault anymore.
Depends on pay grade.
No, that's fair. Yeah, we don't have to talk about Skyvault specifically. It's just more of the. It's I don't know. It's the.
Do your own stunt, kid.
My favorite version of filmmaking is finding that balance somewhere where it's
Yeah.
like you're roughing it a little bit. Like I don't want to endanger people unnecessarily.
Yeah.
that's not the
But
goal.
you know what? That's just not your job. You hire someone to make sure they don't die. That's me. You go on set. You tell them to do the dangerous
Someone
things. I'll manage it.
supervises,
Yeah, that's
and then
fair.
you get to run around and just create.
Bro,
It stops being a creative space when it becomes all corporate.
So
shit.
many sets I've been worried on. So many sets where I'm like, everyone's hot. They're gonna hurt themselves. It's gonna be a whole problem. Yeah, I mean, Kyle threw himself on the XCOM video. I'm trying to think of other
That's a
things.
good example,
A lot
though.
of people overheated. I was so afraid Joey was gonna choke in the potion.
Oh yeah, when he's
video.
just eating like
Just constantly
18
stuffing
things in
his
60
face. I thought he was gonna
seconds.
choke on something because it was filmed real time. I'm trying to think of other videos where I was just like, oh fuck, that's gonna be so bad.
We've definitely had like a lot of run and gun sort of moments though, like because that's the way we've had to, we can't afford the safety equipment is expensive.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm advocating for here. I guess I'm a little bit. I feel like I'm walking into a dangerous area.
I mean,
I'm
when
a
you're
bit tightrope walking here too.
When you're broke, you kind of have to. I mean,
That's true.
You don't really have a choice when you're broke, and you
Yeah.
just find other people who you know won't sue you because you're broke.
True.
And they're like, no, it's cool.
I've tackled Ian at least 3 times,
That's
or at
true.
least hit him and tackled him.
All I know is looking back, some of my favorite memories are the time where I was wearing football pads and I needed to be thrown by an explosion, and I was like, if I land and I only hit the football pad, I'll be fine, right? That's what it's for. So
100%.
So I worked up the courage and just leapt and just full body just slammed onto the pavement on my back.
I remember being like 12 and playing frisbee or soccer or whatever, and I went out of my way to dive.
Yeah.
I didn't need to. I wanted to. I wanted it to be like
it's cool.
a Kodak moment. Capture it, in the air.
12.
Or
You were
12.
like 23.
Yeah, I mean,
We
yeah.
were playing frisbee in Europe at
Oh,
every
yeah,
park
you're
we
talking
went
about
to,
Europe.
and it was important for you
Yes.
to dive onto your rib cage.
It's more
or
fun that way.
spine.
You're risking something. So I totally get where you're coming
Ethan,
from.
please put a disclaimer across this entire podcast.
Yeah.
just
But also-
big text. Door Monster does not endorse putting yourself in harm's way.
Please don't hurt yourselves.
Do you not remember like being younger and like running into the mat behind the basketball net?
Oh,
and you
yeah.
just slam your body into that, and then you just fall down for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
There-
that. It's
There was one time where my friend and I, Camille and I, inside the gym, we decided that the best thing to do would be the ultimate hug, right? The best hug that any hug could
love
ever
where this is
happen.
going.
Oh,
This
no.
is
And so
never a
we
good
stood
idea.
on opposite sides of an entire basketball
know
court
exactly where this is
inside
going.
of a
It's a terrible
gymnasium,
idea.
and we ran at each other full force and then jumped into a hug like a
my
big chest
God,
bump,
no.
and we smashed brains and then both fell back and then broke our spines.
I have done
We
this
couldn't get
exact
off the
thing.
floor for like 30 seconds. Both of us were like writhing in pain, like oh. And then like our other friends who weren't gonna do it because it was our stupid idea were just like, no one was gonna do that. Like, take your time. I'm not calling anybody.
Yeah.
I don't remember the pain because that's what brains are for, but I remember that it hurt so bad.
Absolutely.
That feeling of hitting your chest and then your spine so quickly. Instinct just boom and then boom. There was no breathing, no air. It was all gone. It was just so much pain. And I do. And you know what? It didn't put me out for longer than like an hour. But now I think I'd
imagine
shatter.
Oh
if
my
you
God,
caught it
no.
on camera.
right.
Oh, I know.
Oh, it'd be so good. So
In my head, those kinds of things are on camera. Like I see them from third person and I hear
Yeah.
the music. Like all of it is embodied in that
Yeah.
way.
Right.
like I said, I've done that exact thing with one of my friends the exact same way.
How did
and
the girls do it, but not the guys? It feels like such a dumb.
It
boy
feels
thing
like
to
a
have
dumb
done.
guy thing to do, and I had plenty of guy friends. They were doing backflips off of stuff and ridiculous
Oh, yeah.
shit like that. I'm like, yay, thank you for the heart attack.
That was Thomas. Thomas did backflips off anything he could.
Yeah, core memory unlocked. I remember going into the boys' bathroom. You would grab on either side of the urinal divider,
Yeah.
and you would do a backflip off the urinal.
What?
No.
What?
This is a thing that
That's a good way to
7-year-olds
cause
did.
No.
a pipe burst.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
You said that's
it
how
was
you rip
awesome.
things out of the wall.
Yes, that
You would
would
just like
be more
step
likely.
up the urinal.
No, you
and
literally,
just,
grab, like you're in the Matrix or something.
The boys' bathroom in your school was clean enough to do this, or you didn't care enough?
Yes, but also
went to a private Christian
doesn't
school.
matter.
Okay, fair.
Like it doesn't
That's
change.
fair.
Well, it had dividers.
Well, yeah, it had
right?
dividers.
Eventually, the dividers don't go away. When you get a certain age, and there are no dividers
Because
anymore.
everybody flipped
Weird.
off of them early.
all been ripped out of the wall too many
So
times.
you solve the mystery as to why they go
A
away.
divider
You don't
never
grow out of
fell
them. They're
in
not
my
training
experience.
wheels. It's not like, okay, you reach a certain age and now you can see other guys' penises, okay? Are you ready?
Nobody wants to.
I
don't understand.
hate this so much.
Yeah.
This
I
is
don't
one of
understand
my
why this is a
talking
thing.
points. This is one of my
I don't
core
understand.
thought processes that occasionally bubble up and make me furious, which is the weird bathroom etiquette that exists for men
I'm
that is
completely on board
absolutely
with your-
I
baffling
understand
and
none of it.
upsetting entirely, which is that well, I guess that there is any, but also that like there isn't enough. It's like there's all these rules, right? You can't stand next to each other, one urinal apart. Everybody can go pee at the same time, but you can't look at anybody. So like do something.
No one wants to pee next to each other. It's a weird thing to
Yeah,
do.
why did so stalls?
I don't know.
We have stalls every time.
I didn't
go
build
in the
them, and I
stall.
don't know who did.
But it's infuriating.
You know what? A man did, and I don't know why he did it that way.
There are solutions to the problem.
yes.
What's better? You go to a baseball
correct.
game, it's a trough.
No.
Yeah.
One giant, everyone
Specifically
shares
at
a
baseball
toilet.
games. Don't know why.
Yeah, I
You
don't know.
what? It should
Some
just
bars,
it should just be a trough everywhere, apparently.
just for everybody.
understand
Just handlebars and
I
troughs all the way
don't
around.
Get it.
Well, and
at
what's
all.
weird is I remember guys giving me flack because girls would come into the stall with me, right? Like girls would go to the bathroom together.
Yeah.
And then would be like, ugh. And I'm like, shut the hell up. I know you know what every boy in your class's penis looks like because you can. Because you can walk in and be like, oh,
Yeah, I mean, no.
'Cause you
I don't-
can.
I don't look personally
that's-
when I have to use a public bathroom.
As far as I know,
I get very
That's
focused.
almost-
in front of
That's
me.
only the weird guy like goes and is like, oh.
Yeah, usually,
like you said,
none of this should happen.
the
usually
option
that's a
exists
thing.
and it shouldn't.
That's
there
the
should be
option.
dividers.
There has to
None
be
of it.
rules because they won't enforce better standards. Right? The rules are like don't stand too close when you could just not have them so close. And the rules are stand one thing apart and don't look when you could just have dividers or stalls.
Yeah.
Like there's a million things that make more sense than
And
it's
some
so
people
upsetting.
might like defend this, even in the comments, but
No.
it's only because you have accepted that you deserve this in on some level, and you feel like you have to defend it because it's somehow become part of your identity. Because if it's
normal.
not okay, then why are you putting up with it? But realistically, none of us should be allowing that to happen. It
Yeah.
just shouldn't. It shouldn't be
But-
constructed that way.
I feel like A, nobody got asked, and B, nobody voted.
Yeah, it was just one asshole.
Yeah,
Really
and I
fucked
bet
up
his
for the
name
rest
was
of time.
Chad. He was a bro.
Chad the bathroom man.
Yeah, he's like real men just pee next to each other.
Who is Chad?
You think that's what Chad was doing? Chad is sus as hell. Chad is sus.
I don't know, man. There's
Oh.
it's all I think it's a complete paradox. I feel like masculinity is a paradox in and of itself.
I think the way urinals should be set up is like a giant round trough, kind of like fountain in the center.
Just in the middle.
Yeah, just in the middle, and
Just
you
a
all
kiddie
stand
pool,
around. So
you
at least
know?
it feels like regal.
You can like
So there's like
step on a little
big
pedal.
fountain, and you all go to the fountain.
It's
you
all
all sit
aimed
out.
up in the air.
I'm gonna
like-
backtrack.
There's a little step.
I should have
pedal
done
you
it
can
earlier.
I
sit
hope we
out.
cut most of that out of this. But
Excellent.
we'll see.
I'm gonna do what I should have done earlier and turn around and walk back to the fork in the road that we hit a while ago.
Which was
So-
what?
I was going to say a different
Phasmophobia.
story. No, I was going to say a different story about the hurting ourselves.
Okay, yeah.
Some
sure.
of
okay.
it's true
That
some of the
loosely
most-
ties into
It does. It's still
Something.
film related.
I think back to a regular epic moment of my almost death, but because it wasn't a death, it was a success
Yeah,
in the best
always,
way
every time.
possible. You double bounced me on the trampoline.
Oh God.
He double bounced me so high. We were getting really good at it, right? Where you have
Yeah.
to do it together. And so I go flying. I mean, just like out and over.
Yep.
But like,
Too much arch.
by the grace of
Like
God.
over the net, like you.
Yeah, I'm like about to go just full on over the net, but it catches me like mid back or something, and so I like hit the net, and then it rolls me up into it, and the net breaks like at where it's tied up to the two poles, and it just sort of like like.
This is what nets are for. Use
And
nets
then
on trampolines.
I am stuck in the net like this. Like, and the net attaches, and I'm just a little ball in it, like, just like rolled up in, like
Just
this
hanging
far
off the edge of the
ground.
trampoline.
She is
That
cocooned.
sounds terrible.
She is
Fully
cocooned in the net.
into the net, and yeah, there it was my butt, the ground, and I just like fell straight into the net and just like, beep, and I was fine, not a single injury whatsoever.
But
Yeah.
she could not get out. She would have
No,
been
I was
stuck. I'm pretty sure
absolutely
I had to go from under the trampoline. I had to push her up and
roll me.
around.
like one of those jungle
Back.
traps from the movies where it grabs your leg.
Exactly one of those. That's the right visual.
No.
Anyway, I might not have been able to walk
Yeah.
otherwise. It was so.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been like a 8-foot fall on my spine.
Also, important thing here is
rubber.
kids are very bouncy.
Yeah.
The opposite.
No, I would have hit the ground. You bounced me from the trampoline into the air onto the ground.
You were young.
You're also
12.
tiny. Yeah, you're tiny.
That's
smaller
true.
than him.
That's a
Point
good point.
right off the ground.
Yeah,
It'd
just a
hurt,
little.
but you'd
Yeah,
been okay.
that's a very
the other
good
side of this
point.
coin are things that you really
Maybe.
don't think would hurt and cause way more pain than you'd think they would on film. Like I'm thinking of like when we were doing the tavern video. Ethan had to be on his knees the whole time, and that messed him up for like a week after doing
Took
that.
5 years off his life.
Just
that day.
yeah, just from just
Yes.
kneeling to play the Hobbit character. There's so many times where like my back hurt for like almost a week just from holding the camera on the Last of Us video the other
yeah.
time because it's
Oh,
been
man.
forever since I did it, and I'm 30 now, the age where
Yeah.
things stop healing.
Yeah.
and I had to like hold the whole shoulder rig and everything for the first time in a couple of years. And it was fine while I was doing it, is the weird thing. Like I was like in a full squat the whole time, totally fine.
Yeah.
Next morning, could not move.
Yeah.
I remember you pulled your back moving a mattress, and I've never seen you so angry. He pulled his back. He just like twisted wrong, and then he could not move for like
Out
2
of commission
weeks.
for days.
It's
He had
the
to get
worst.
like painkillers and everything.
That was when I was exercising regularly every day too, and I had to
Maybe that was
stop
why.
for like,
Maybe you weren't like stretching because you were tight.
yeah, maybe,
I don't know.
or just bad luck. I don't know.
It really can be.
Yeah, and there's lots of things like that you don't really see on screen either. I remember Ian also. There was one shot for the guards themselves he likes to bring up where like they're like Mezzier shoots a gun and everybody like ducks out of the way because it's like in a corridor, and Ian did this like full on like crouch duck like 15 times. Doesn't show up in the footage.
Oh, bummer.
It shows up in the footage in our hearts.
Yes.
Exactly. I'm trying to think of videos that like messed me up physically.
Yeah, there were definitely some physically taxing ones.
I've fallen a lot. I can fall really well. I have actually mastered falling to the point where it doesn't hurt me.
Yeah, I can
But
usually do
holding the
falls
camera
alright,
is
too.
awful.
I've
Yeah.
done none of this fun stuff yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Gotta
gotta
get
done
you
none
doing
of
more
this fun
fun
stuff.
More
Yeah.
violent videos.
I'll
go.
do it.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
We got other stuff. We got other projects that involve much more fun things.
Yeah, I
potentially.
think so. I think we're going to be able to have some more dynamic stuff coming up
Yeah.
I'm
soon.
excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm also trying to think of other examples of just past videos. But I guess in lieu of that, going back to the
It's the repetition, I think. Because even like, I mean, there's just like running down a hall, but eventually you just
That's true.
you just like, all right, do it again. So it's like 5 shots in and you're like, damn, that was a mile.
Yeah, you don't even think
Just
about it
running
when you're
down the
doing it.
hall.
I've
Yeah.
always really appreciated the results of those things. Like some of my favorite movies are the ones where the director and the crew were dedicated enough to like do it 30 times
Yeah.
until it works.
Keep trying.
And it's one of the things that the most insane filmmaker ever, Jackie Chan, really does very well, and that I really appreciate because all of his movie stunts and stuff are like to a beat. They're like a dance or something.
Yes.
And he's mentioned like he's very very fond of saying like anybody can do what I do. Like I don't do anything special. I just do it over and over again until it turns out right the one time, and that makes it into the movie. So it looks very impressive.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
all you have to do is also do it 120 times
Yeah.
until you catch the thing just right and don't get knocked in the head by the guy swinging a brick at you. And
Yeah.
but he also has done things like slide down buildings without wires attached to him because he's a nut job. So
Yeah.
It's amazing how that kind of stuff is so much more fun than like being cold. I've been cold on set a lot, and it is possibly the worst thing because you think like it's cold, like so cold, and you're just in whatever outfit you have to be in for the video.
Yeah.
And I've also been not in the video, but cast on cold sets. But anyway, when you're acting and it's cold, you just have to stop being cold for the line delivery. And so I remember the Westworld one was so cold, and I'm like, and Kyle's like, all right. And I had to be perfectly still. I was mimicking a robot.
Suck it up.
It was like 50 outside, and I'm in a skirt and a corset. I don't have actual clothes on. And so I'm like shaking. He's like, all right, rolling. And I'm like, awful. So I would do anything. I would fall, I would roll, I would flip, I would hit, I would do anything except be freezing on set
That is
again.
true.
I was grumpy too.
Prolonged
I was
exposure
pissed.
or repetition definitely takes it out of you way more than just like one solid fall or something like that.
That's
You gotta
true.
get Edwin on this podcast actually, because I bet he has a lot of stories that go well with it.
That would be great. Yeah.
I'm amazed. Edwin's Do you think Edwin ever hurts himself or just doesn't because he's too
has
good?
to. I mean, there's no way. He just like statistically, he just
In my
does it
mind,
enough
Edwin like
that-
trips and he's like, nope, and then just like turns into a full barrel
Like a
roll.
cat, right?
Yeah,
Just suddenly
exactly.
lands on.
Yeah, he
That's
just like
I wouldn't disbelieve
he's
it.
never fallen down a stairs. He just turns it into a little like hand cartwheel
Yeah.
until he lands and he's like, ah.
People stand up 10 out of 10.
I find stunts fascinating also for this reason because you don't expect the things that are really dangerous. Stair falls are one of the most dangerous things you can do as a stunt because they're really unpredictable.
Yeah.
Like you're doing a full fall just as a flailing ball of human
Yeah.
limbs
Right. Not a
down
lot
like
of-
multiple impact points, and like more people have gotten injured doing that than like doing like car flips and
Right.
stuff or being set on fire. One of the safest things you can do
Yeah.
because we know exactly how to do it. So as long as you have the team set up, it's like you put this gel thing on and they light that on fire. You do it for a set amount of time and then you go on the ground and they put it out and the fire never touches you. You never feel the heat at all. That effect almost never goes wrong. Stair falls hurt people all the time.
Yeah.
Like out of commission.
I volunteer.
For the fire?
Yeah.
If we
Oh, for the fire,
if we
yeah,
can get
do
the
it.
budget, I would love to set somebody on fire.
I volunteer to be set on
God.
fire.
I have had a friend do something similar. He discovered that he could spray his entire hand with Axe body spray and then light it on fire.
So the key
Seen
is you
people
have
do
to
that
have the
for long
professionals.
Yeah.
and it was long enough that he could do it and scare the shit out of people and then just put it out really quick.
It's not safe because it's just inherently safe. It's just safe because there is a safe way to do it. And if
Yeah.
you have trained professionals on set, they can do it the safe way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, if you try to do it on your own,
It is not
it's
safe.
not the same thing.
Not
I've
safe.
seen so many videos where people do the axe thing or God knows
Right.
what, and they catch on fire.
Yeah, every time. I've seen ones where they have the shower running and then they light themselves on fire and then jump in the shower. It was a trend for a while. And the shower wasn't enough water. They would just burn while standing under the water, and it's like, oh my fucking god!
Yeah, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
It's the first of the Tide Pod type things. Like it was just fucking.
Oh my! I still
Crazy.
can't. I still can't believe.
I would like to do
fucking
stunts,
Yeah.
but I worry. I went rollerblading with mom, right? And she was really nervous because she's like, if I fall, it will I'll actually break a bone, and I'm
Yeah.
like. But then I remember that she told me like 10 years ago her bone density was like, I don't know, 10% or
She's got,
something.
like,
She has just like little
Bird
bird
bones.
bones, little tiny
She's a
empty
tiny
bones.
woman.
Yeah, she is. And because she's tiny, there was never any weight on her bones. So her bones just,
Nope.
I guess, just pieced the fuck out.
Floats around.
That's exactly right. And so she was super worried. And then she ended up falling. I felt really bad. But she didn't
so
break
glad.
it. But she was nervous the whole time. She was
Yeah.
like, is it swollen? And she's like looking at her wrist. And me, who was just like roll on my way to her because I slid onto my knees and I'm just like onto the concrete to get to her. And I'm like, hey, mom.
Yay!
Like a giant like
I don't know.
scratch.
Yay! Rollerblading when you're 30.
In my head, I imagine you like rolling on your belly and over it, like
Yeah.
rolling towards her that way. Like, I'm coming, mom.
I'd so do that.
I mean, it was, I remember being like, oh no, I gotta get to her. And I just remember like
Just get there any way you can.
on my way.
I think also I can get so like what it really boils down to, because nothing on the Phasmophobia video was dangerous, really,
Right.
other than maybe standing on the rickety bench. But like it really was just the tactile feeling of it, and I'm getting really into doing like the Blender stuff where you shoot on a green screen and I can make anything exist in post, and it's really cool to be able to do that because I don't have money. So like I can do it in my office. But I've said this on a couple other videos or something, but to me the ultimate truest form of filmmaking is just like being in the woods with a camera and a Renaissance fair costume and just running around.
Yeah.
Because there's just something about the being on location that I just don't really feel from newer productions, whether I'm on them or watching them, that I really just kind of miss. And I think it'd be fun to
Because
like do
I
that
showed
kind of
him
stuff
the man
more.
in the iron mask.
Well,
It's
it
never
was-
been the same.
It was it definitely was like a recent awakening, but like there are other examples, like The Princess Bride was like a really early
Yeah.
one. even early Star Wars stuff, you know, they like build all those sets. They were in a desert for Tatooine shots. Like that's not a sound stage.
That'd be super cool.
And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't like the debate. People always bring up like that there's too much CGI, and I actually don't agree with that. I just think there's too much like corporate interference in things, and that it cheapens what you're doing. But like, well, The Lord of the Rings is a good example, right? Like that's a great combination of both of the, like it's the tactile filmmaking experience with CGI to enhance it, and really taking advantage of every single aspect and every tool that you have at your disposal to make the final image. And I think that's the kind of thing that really feels good to me, even down to the point where like I almost don't care if anybody watches it at that point. I just want to go out in the woods with a sword and
a camera,
maybe an actual horse.
Well, it's like it's supposed to be a creative space, and I feel like all the red tape and shit just makes it not a creative space anymore.
Yeah.
Because like what you're talking about is almost like a blank canvas. It's like running out into the woods with
Monty
a blank
Python,
canvas.
actually, another great one,
Literally
right? Like they literally were just out at a castle.
It helps with
ran.
acting.
It does.
You know,
He
like
ran while someone walked behind him and clapped coconuts together.
like when you like you show up on set, right, and you're fully decked out in your whole ass costume. Let's say you're like a princess or something, so full costume, tiara, everything. You look regal as hell, and then there's just a bunch of people in like hoodies
drinking
and also
a Starbucks.
and you're just like standing in front of a green screen, and you're like, okay, you gotta like snap into it. And I never realized how that's a big part of Door Monster too, right? It's just like showing up and like having to get into it.
Right.
But when I started acting with Matt, it completely changed because Matt can do that part, but I can't. And so Matt will snap into it. And then I'm like, oh, I'm acting.
Right.
I'm on
He's got great energy.
He
I
does.
love it. Yeah.
So as soon as Matt goes into like Matt form, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm here. I
Just
can
gotta
do this.
match
It's really
it.
easy to play off of.
he is. He makes it much easier because you're like, oh, it's not real, and then
He
you're just
looks
like
at you,
hyper focused. It
And
helps.
he's in character. He
Yeah,
looks at
exactly.
you as a character.
That's exactly right.
You can see it in his eyes when he looks at you on set. You're
That's
like, oh
exactly
shit.
right. Yeah. And it helps. And I think it's just that kind of stuff, like just being on set, having everyone else with you. It's so much nicer.
And I'm really I'm not knocking the new way of doing things. I really genuinely love the VFX stuff. Obviously, I spend all my time doing it, and it makes it much more accessible. But I really like
you do it to
idea
enhance.
of blending the two together, which is why I really like the Mandalorian setup with the whole the direction they're moving currently is instead of green screen having the giant LED stage that projects the image behind you, so you kind of get like that mix of both.
Like that.
And I really love that. But then sometimes I just want to go out in the woods. You know, I want to see somebody else go out into the woods. I want to see somebody else out in a forest somewhere, and not one that they built on a soundstage so that the actors don't get too cold.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel I really like ping pong back. Every time I start venturing into what I actually like want, it sounds like I'm trying to make people uncomfortable.
You are, but that's what I'm for.
Yeah,
I keep
that's
it from
true.
happening. I think about the leeches, and I think about the mosquitoes, and I think about the dehydration, and I think about the sandwiches, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm made for worrying.
That's true.
Yeah.
No one will actually
And I
get
may
there.
even charge ahead
Somebody's
and
gonna
hope
do
people
it.
stop me before I hurt myself.
I still highly recommend Star Trek The Next Generation, specifically
should try
because
that.
Yeah.
all of the sets are physical.
Yeah.
They're physical sets. So they're either out in the wilderness or they're on
Or they
a built
built it.
set.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. And like, especially the interior, the ship, the panels, it's just it's so old school, and you're like, oh, it's so cheesy, but it's so good. Something about it, you're like, I just appreciate everything about this. They have a lot of literary themes, and it's a lot of Shakespeare.
It's a good.
So good.
There are multiple times where I've watched shows that are objectively less production value, but are so much better in viewing experience because of that exact thing, where it's like you can tell the people in this are like in it. They're like a part of it. It's like they're there, and that is why it's working. They're on set. They're in Star Trek. The people who are in that, like, no matter how, like, I mean, it's why plays work too. You turn around and it's a different set. It doesn't have to be great. It just is like, that's a brick wall. I'm in a different setting. And then when they reset up the shot and you're on stage, it's like, I'm in a different place. I'm in a different room. It just works. It works.
I think, and I also think it's also just to not sound too, old school purist, I guess. There's also just different skill sets. I think there are some people who are really, really good at acting against nothing. Actually,
Yeah.
it's its own whole skill. I
Yeah,
remember
it
somebody
is.
pointing out at one point that one of the best green screen actors ever was Brendan Fraser back during his height. There's a
believe
whole
that.
scene. I still haven't watched any of the Mummies, and I really need
haven't
to because they sound right up my alley.
Mummy is pretty good.
There's a whole scene where he's fighting this whole group of CG, what are CGI skeletons.
None of it's
He just shadow boxed that. It was just him in a room alone, like Star Wars kid, just fighting things that only he could see.
Release
in his
the
head.
footage.
Yeah.
No,
Release
you can
it.
find it. It's
yeah.
out. You can find just the footage of him just swinging the sword around and fighting people. I don't know. I remember.
Fucking king.
It's
In my head, he
easily
has a
one of the
sword. I
best.
don't know if he actually does.
I can't remember if it's a sword or a torch, but
Yeah.
it's easily one of the best scenes. in the
And
movie.
part of that also is that the animators got just as into it as him, and they they adjusted all of the characters so that it lined up right and everything.
Right.
But the final result looks like they were. I mean, it's convincingly it's convincing that these creatures are in the same space together because he was just so good at visualizing
Yeah.
something there.
Wow.
And so I think there's a lot to be said for that also. There's I think some even some of the modern Marvel movies I don't think are bad just because they used built sets and green screens and stuff. I really think it's just about care and time and attention. And so I think a lot of times what people are seeing in modern movies when they don't work is just corporate rushing. It's just get
Yeah.
through this quickly, get the footage, get out. Because I think if you put the time and attention into any particular part of it, it will still work.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just excited to do all of them. I like
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I'm excited to see what you do, and I think we should try and do something maybe ridiculous for Halloween. Maybe not too ridiculous, because I know we're not really planning on doing anything this year except for watching movies. So maybe we do something like that.
Like kickflips off the urinals.
Yes, we have a
Someone-
trampoline. We
someone
can
back
work
me.
that out.
Oh,
Someone
yeah.
in the comments, back me up. Someone's got to remember.
I don't know. I don't know if our fans will be the one.
Somebody's still doing it. Stop
Next
it.
sketch is kickflip off the urinal sketch. That's I don't know how we'll
I'd be
turn
willing
that
to try it. The actual movement of it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, no,
the urinals
it's-
are a little high.
it's-
You have a way to hold yourself up. You kick, and then boom.
It is the
There
closest.
a
Yeah.
Phasmophobia
It makes-
setting with a bathroom that has urinals in it? Can we do that? Is that something we could do?
You know, I don't
because
know what
that would
happened
be
after the update.
beautiful. Oh well,
But maybe
we're
they
gonna
were
have to
reading our
find out.
minds.
The title of this video is just going to be a long legal dissertation about how you shouldn't listen to anything we're saying.